Hello, 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 and welcome back to Spring into Self Growth. This today's event is I'm super excited for it because this individual actually inspired me to start acting, and so I'm so grateful to have Danny here today to share his experience as a actor with a disability and just really navigating the entire experience. If you're a manual wheelchair user, again, you're going to need to drop your name in the comments if you have not won a set of wheelchair tires yet this week. Again, Kenda's giving away a set of tires every single day. So super excited to help hook you guys up with some new tires because there's nothing like some new shoes. And without further ado, I'm going to let Danny take over.
Hello, everyone. I might have to jump in on those new tires. Mine are getting a little bald. So first of all, thank you, Wheel With Me Foundation, Jesse, for having me. And thank you for signing up to hear me blab about acting for about an hour. I want to start with a little intro about myself and I guess my history. I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I came out to LA in 2005 when we lost our home to Hurricane Katrina. And I always had like this little dream of acting. I did a few small projects in New Orleans. And when Katrina hit, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it got me out to LA. And I came out here and I was like all gung-ho about acting. And I was in the service industry for a long time. And I swore to myself that I wouldn't do it again because I knew that life and I didn't want to get back into that. But of course, money ran out and you need to pay rent. So I got back in the service industry. And then like 13 years of my life just went by and acting was nowhere to be found. Like I lost my creative self and I lost what I came out here to do. And then just randomly, I go mountain biking one day with a coworker and my brother-in-law. And that's when my life changed. I jumped off of a small hill. I thought it was a small hill and I lost control of my bike, hit the ground. I was instantly paralyzed. So I'm a T11, T12 paraplegic. And, I'm assuming everyone knows what it's like to go through rehab. You kind of, you don't know what your life is going to be. Acting was the last thing I was thinking about. I was just figuring out how to, do all everyday life things again. And I went through that year and a half of depression. I was living by myself in a studio. I was really just figuring myself out. And, one day I just got sick of it. I got sick of feeling sorry for myself and watching literally the world outside pass me by. So the first thing on my journey that helped me, I started watching motivational compilations on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever watched them, but instead of like the news, I would wake up in the morning and I'd put those on while I'd be making breakfast. And it just started kind of changing my mindset. And it really started helping me like kind of build a little inner confidence. And that led to me just leaving the apartment for the first time to go to the post office in my wheelchair, which, at first that is frightening, especially in LA, like navigating those crazy streets. So the next thing that happened, this is where we get into the acting portion of it, how I got back into acting. A friend of mine randomly texted me saying that hold on, let me let somebody in here. Welcome, whoever just came in. So we're at the point of the story where I'm just getting back into acting post injury. I got a text from a friend of mine who owns a body part agency. Those are real. They do like hands and feet and like necklines. It's kind of crazy. But she saw a posting for an Apple commercial for somebody in a wheelchair, and she just submitted me with one of my Instagram photos. And they decided to see me for the audition. So she texted me. She didn't even know if I was still acting. And, she's like, do you want to join this audition? And at that point, it's like, it's one of those crossroads. You could say yes, you could say no. Your life will turn out way different. And at that point, I just almost died. I lost my ability to walk and all these other things. And I had this mindset of like, what do I have to lose, really? So I said yes. And I went to this audition and before my accident, I was really I was very nervous about auditioning. And I was always like These people are going to judge, because it's all about judging you. You're going to be judged in the room. It's one of the most awkward, terrible situations because you don't get a response sometimes. And I would let that eat at me, and like I would be like, oh my God, they're watching me and they're judging me. So this time, because of everything that I just went through, nothing scared me. And I just went in and I was like, hello, I'm here, and I was myself. I didn't care if I got the job or not, because I didn't think I was going to get it. I was just like, whatever, I'm here. I haven't acted in years. So I ended up booking the job. And while I was on set, I realized that I missed being on set. I was like, this is what I came out here to do. Like, why don't I just give this one more shot? Let's see what happens. I mean, I booked my first audition out, which I promise you is very rare. It's very rare. Let me let someone else in. Okay, so after I booked this first job, I was riding on that high, thinking, oh yeah, I got this first audition. I booked it. It's going to keep coming. Negative. Months passed by. I didn't even see the commercial. I don't even know where it is. I've been looking forever to find it. But then I got another text message from an unknown number. And this was like the bigger one. This one said, do you want to be part of the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge? And I was like, what is that? I have no idea. I've never heard of this. So I didn't have the person's number saved. That's all the text said. And it was another one of those points in my life where it was a crossroads, and I could have said yes, could have said no. My life would have changed out differently. It would have went differently. And I said, again, what do I have to lose? I said yes. I talked to the director on Friday. We shot this weekend project on Saturday. And if you don't know what the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge is, I highly recommend it. If you want to write it down, we should put a link to it somewhere. But it's a weekend film challenge, and you have to use someone in front or behind the camera with a disability. You can use as many people with disabilities if you want. It could be one person in front of the camera. It just somebody has to be disabled to be to be in the challenge. So then, you write, edit, and shoot everything in the weekend. And I remember Saturday, I get the script and I'm on every single page. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not mentally prepared for this. Like, I haven't done this much dialogue in so long. And then I get to the middle of the script and it says, my character sits in the living room naked. And I was like, what did I get myself into? And at this point, I'm like, we're shooting today. I couldn't back out. So we went there. The house wasn't accessible. I had to get carried in. The director was one of the nicest people ever. We all learned that day. The crew and the actors that day never worked with someone who was disabled. So they learned stuff from me. I learned stuff from them. And it was just a great experience. So I tell that story because you never know when an opportunity is going to arise and what an opportunity is going to bring for your life. And I know that things are scary, but you need to put yourself out there sometimes. Because I put myself out there for this project, we ended up winning best film for this challenge. And from that is where I got my agent. She ended up seeing the film. She was there. She represents a lot of the people in the industry that have disabilities. And that really just opened all the doors. And, Nick Novicki, if you don't know him, I definitely recommend you following him on Instagram, going to the Easter Seals Challenge. I would say that's one of the best ways to break in if you're new or if you're just starting out, because a lot of people are just starting out when they join the challenge. And you could shoot stuff on your cell phone. You can make whatever type of movie you want to make. This year we did everything from home. Last year we did everything from home, obviously COVID, but it's definitely a great starting point. So now let's talk about, we're getting a little more professional now. I have an agent. I'm starting to go out on auditions. Now I'm building my reel. My old reel from before I was disabled, can't use that because I'm in a wheelchair now. So let's say you don't have an agent. There are a few websites that you should sign up for. First one is actorsaccess.com. That one you can self-submit for big projects. They do have big castings. That's a lot of theatrical stuff. You put up some pictures. If you don't have an agent, you have to pay for that one, but it is worth it. It's one of the only ones that you should pay for. There's a lot of sites out there that said, "Oh, get your work, just pay a monthly fee." Don't do that. Actors Access is legit. The next one is LA Casting. If you're in LA, I'm in LA, so I'm not sure about I don't know where everybody's from, but if you're in other cities, there might be one similar. LA Casting does a lot of the commercials, and that's another one where you pay for a membership if you don't have an agent. So you do a lot of self-submitting. If you don't have an agent, you have to put in the work. You go on every day, you check the castings. And to be perfectly honest, there's not a lot of castings for people with disabilities. It's just the industry is slowly getting there. And I would say commercially, it is more. I don't know if you guys, if you've seen Target uses a lot of people in wheelchairs or people with disabilities. Apple sometimes. Facebook has been doing it every night, even though they cut me out of they cut me out of my first big national. I was so upset, but that's just the business of it. But yeah, you have to self-submit, put in your homework, check the trades, read like Backstage. Backstage.com is a good one to look for auditions. So then now let's say you're building, you have some work, and I would say, you in the beginning, you're not going to get paid for stuff, but you're working towards something. You're building your resume, you're building your reel, and a reel is super important, especially when you're self-submitting. I mean, even if you have an agent, you need a reel. You need something to showcase what you can do. I mean, make your own movies. Cell phones these days the technology is so amazing. You can get a group of friends, shoot a couple scenes together, show your acting, show what you can do. Before I get to showing my reel, I want to talk about doing classes, because I was the type of person who I was like, I have this raw talent. I'm going to use that. I don't want to get phased by, I don't want to get changed by an acting class. But it really, there's techniques and things that will prepare you for when you're on set that you just don't know if you don't take an acting class. So I definitely recommend, right now is a great time to get into Zoom acting classes. I'm part of one now that you have to, I don't want to say you have to audition for, but you are kind of vetted to see, where you're at in your career, but it's a great one. It's just good to keep your tools, keep your tools sharpened when you're ready to go. So I'm going to share my reel just so you can see if you haven't seen one before. It's about a year old. There's a few things that I need to add, a few things that I need to edit out. But if everyone's ready, I'm going to share that. All right, here we go.
Don't say it. No. I just want to stay up here.
But with the infection this close to your brain, we must stop now. I'm sorry.
I'm not. I'll never walk again. But I got to fly.
Remember when you were new students to my 9th grade class a few weeks ago? Well, we have a new student joining us today, Finn. So I expect you to welcome him the same way I welcomed you. All right? Take it easy, like.
Rob.
I'm sorry.
What is it?
I just have a lot on my mind.
You can tell me anything. You know that.
I know that. Everything's fine. Let's just enjoy the show.
Have a good day, sir.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, I think you're really sweet.
Come back anytime.
I will. It was nice meeting you. What did you say your name was again?
I didn't. It's Pamela.
Hi, Pamela. I'm Rob.
Hi.
Well, such a beautiful place.
Thanks.
So why is there a vacancy?
My roommate is moving to New York.
Well, I don't know why she would with you as a roommate. Hey, you just wanna...
Get a place together? Yeah.
All right, so that's an example of a reel. It's now that I'm watching, I'm like, man, I gotta cut some stuff because it's good to be like around 3 minutes, and then there's some that are like really short, and just some tips for you can edit your own. I edited that with Filmora, a program by Wondershare. It's really easy to do. I mean, if you can do it on your phone, it's probably going to be a little more difficult that way, but when you're editing your reel together, you want to put your hottest scene first or your best scene. So when I first did, chronologically, I did Checkmate first, which was the last scene you saw there. But since I just did NBC, New Amsterdam, that's really the biggest credit that I have. So you want to start out with that because sometimes people will watch your reel and they'll only watch that first scene and that's it. You know what I mean? They'll get what they want, what they're looking for in the first 15 seconds. So do that. Make it sure you can put music behind. You can make it your own. Show a little bit of creativity, but just know that sometimes they might not watch the whole thing. I hope you did. I hope you enjoyed it. I need to change some things, but so after that, you have your reel. You're ready to go out there. You're gonna post your reel on your casting networks like Actors Access, LA Casting. And just keep working, keep reaching out to people that are looking for, to do work. The whole thing is, the money will come. You have to be patient, but you also have to get the experience. You have to be on set. You can do extra work. I highly recommend that. If you've never been on set, get on a set doing extra work. Just watch the crew, watch the actors, see how everybody reacts and responds on set. So once you get to an actual set where you're the person, let's say you're Lee or co-star, you're gonna know what to expect. You don't want to be like a deer in headlights when you get there. So that comes with the classes, the preparation, watching your favorite movies, reading scripts, doing all that stuff. And then I want to talk about self-taping and auditioning real quick, because I think we're going to get to questions soon. Are we almost there yet? All right. Sweet. So as you can see, this little blue thing right here, this is a huge collapsible. Hopefully it doesn't fall on me. Probably will now. Yeah. So I went through like many iterations of backdrops and, being in a wheelchair, putting that thing up and putting these big poles up and everything is just really difficult sometimes. So I found this one on Amazon. I can link that stuff later through Jesse. It was about $60. I got it used for 30 and it came in like great condition. Definitely have good lighting. That's one of the most important things, lighting and sound. And I know, if any one of you have done self-tapes before, there's always like the weed whacker just happens to be, out there for like an hour and you're trying to do a scene. But those are just things that you're going to go through as an actor and just have fun, really. I mean, be brave, take risks with the choices you make, the projects that you want to do. And really just, you have to put yourself out there. Now let's talk about, before we get into questions, having a disability and the industry right now. You're going to get a lot. You saw my first scene on New Amsterdam. I played a high-level quad who was a veteran pilot. They didn't really give me a backstory. You kind of build that on your own when you take on the character. But you're going to see a lot of that. It's a lot of veterans, a lot of veterans, a lot of people in hospitals, like we're dying, woe is me. Like, I'm super inspirational. Very rarely will you get someone who is like a lawyer or a boyfriend or someone working in a coffee shop. The industry is slowly getting there. There are some cool shows that, you know, this guy Chill Mitchell, he was on NCI New Orleans and The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking. So he's been doing some cool stuff and, you know, Blazing Trails. Now Ali, forget her name, I should know it, but anyways, Broadway winner. Yes, she's doing some good stuff for us, but it's very slow. You know, when you're just starting, you're going to get a lot of those roles where you kind of just have to pay your dues and do those. And there is a big community though. So whatever city you're in, find those communities and start doing some work. So if you want to do questions now, I don't know if we're at that time where I can keep blabbing away here. Keep talking. Jesse's the host now. All right. So I wanted to.
So Ali Stroker is who you.
Ali Stroker, yes.
And then if you would drop the Easter Seals link, all the links, if you just drop them in the chat and then I'll copy them and resend them out.
Okay.
That way everyone has everything. Continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no, it's all right. I actually wanted to show my resume. If you ever were interested in what a resume looks like, let's go here. Oh, can you make me a host again, Jesse? Thank you. Perfect. So this is mine. I just redid it because I sat through, there's so many seminars that you can sit through that talk about casting and how to build your resume and stuff like that. And I saw that this one person had the little picture here and my agencies and managers on the right top corner, if you want to move your boxes around to check that out. And then now, since I'm SAG-AFTRA, you put that at the top. And a lot of castings, they'll ask your height. And if you're a wheelchair user, you know, you're not your actual height. So I have to explain, you know, my sitting chair height. So I'm about 4'9", 5 foot, something like that. PWD, person with disability, passport. And then you go into your credits. Like I said, my biggest one so far is NBC New Amsterdam. So you put that one on top. And then these are just a bunch of short films that I've done. And it all builds your resume. That's what the most important thing is people want to see that you're working, that you're actually on set, that you're, you know, playing with characters and actually, you know, doing scenes and acting. So it's always good. Even if it's like a 2-minute short, that's on your resume. You can put it on your IMDb. I would highly recommend that if you want to just to do research on films and stuff like that. And then once you start getting credits, you do have to pay for IMDb, but it's a good way to look professional if somebody looks you up there and can see your picture and whatever you've done. So that's television, film. A bunch of these are Easter Seals challenges. The Archaic Intergalactic, the Over 40, we did those this year. And a bunch of these were actually done from home. So, and they're all on IMDb, so they're actual credits. Now you could put credits on there that aren't on IMDb, but they're going to be a little bit harder to find if you're a casting director, or, you know, someone who's looking at trying to look at your work. So yeah, you could put your television, internet projects, commercials. That says available upon request because some people have so many commercial work that it'll just take up too much of your resume. I don't have that many, but you know, I'll just put that there for now. Theater training is, like I said, that's super important. I'm currently training with Laura Gardner. We do scene study, audition technique. We work 2 hours every Tuesday, and it's just really good to, you know, keep your tools sharpened. And then I want to talk about skills, because everything you do in life, really, you can use in your acting. People that you meet, you can build characters from, you know, if they're a specific, just unique person, you can take off of that. If you go horseback riding, if you do an adaptive horseback riding and you do it often and you get good at it, that's a skill. because you never know what kind of random skill a film is looking for. I need a wheelchair user who can play trombone while juggling 3 knives or something. You know, you'll see some of those random things, but you never know what special skill you might have. So anything you can think of that you're good at, you put on there. So I do a lot of wheelchair adaptive sports. I put all that stuff on there. It's good for casting to see. It might be that one thing that you have that'll get you cast over that other actor, because they don't want to take the time to have to train someone else if you already know how to play trombone, which I used to in high school, but I need to get back into it. I'm fluent in Spanglish. So, you know, if you ever need somebody who can't really speak Spanish but can speak English, then I'm good. And then last, I put my award. My last award was, I was the recipient of the Christopher Reeve Acting Scholarship. Usually, I think you have to apply for that, but the year I won it was this year, last year. The person who runs Christopher Reeve, they saw my part on New Amsterdam, and they decided to award me that. That Christopher Reeve, you know, they do a lot of stuff with spinal cord injury, and they do have this acting scholarship. So definitely look out into that. It's really helpful, and it's great for a resume. And at the bottom, I just put my, this is KMR, my agency, their contact info. And that's pretty much what that looks like. If anybody needs that, I can email that. You can use that template and just, you know, take out my name, put yours in, but don't use my credits. All right. All right, so let's finish with that there. And like I said, just, you know, acting is about living life. Go out there and experience new things, because you know, you can put that in your skills. You can use that in your work. I always had a lot of trouble with, I would say no to new experiences, especially after I got hurt, because I was so scared to leave the house. I was scared that, you know, having spinal cord injury, you have bladder, bowel issues and all that. And, you know, that stuff happens, but yeah, shit happens, right? No pun intended. You just got to get out there, because you never know who you're going to meet at what networking event, or just going to the store. I mean, you never know how someone is going to get an agent. Like the way I got it is through the Easter Seals Challenge. Some people get discovered in an elevator. That's like winning the lottery. But talking to people, getting to know things, going to new events, that all helps in your acting career. I mean, you got to pull from everywhere. For Captain Mateo, you know, I'm not a high level quad, obviously, but because of the gym that I go to, Abilities Recovery Center in Westwood, I knew a lot of high level quads, and I knew, you know, from looking at them, I didn't even know subconsciously that I was studying them for when I got this role. And I was able to talk to them when I got this role to research a little bit more and to bring, you know, truth to that. So everything you do in life, you can use. So never forget that. I'm ready for some questions. What are we thinking, Jesse?
All right, so Ryan put a question in the chat. He said, how do you find the communities?
So that's a good question. If you're outside of LA, I would just find theater groups, or go to like Facebook, look up, you know, your acting communities. And even if they're not disabled, like maybe you'll be the first person with a disability, you know, like what's wrong with that? Go up in there and show them what's up, and be part of that community, because we're all really here to help each other. You know, I found that when I wasn't disabled, you know, able-bodied or whatever, it was so cutthroat. People in auditions wouldn't really talk to each other, and here it's like where you see someone in, you know, it's like when you see somebody in a wheelchair out in public, you're just like, hey. But it's kind of like that in acting. It's so competitive. Don't get me wrong. Like, I thought that I was going to come in here and just take over the world in the acting scene, and there was no other actors with disabilities, but there's so many talented people. So you really have to be prepared. But we are a great community. And following pages like Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge on Instagram, reaching out to people, send a DM, because, you know, people send me DMs all the time. I respond because I truly want to help people get into the industry or just figure things out, even if it has nothing to do with acting. So use your social media. I mean, that's what it's there for, to find and connect with people.
I want to touch on that as well. I went to an open casting call for a local agency here in Charlotte, and it's mainly a Southeast agency. So I get job offers. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia are primarily the main places. And I just went into this open call. I look around, I'm the only person with a disability in the room. And I went in, slated my name, which Danny, I'm going to have you explain a slate as well. I slated my name and I read this commercial, and next thing I know, I have a call back. I get sent to an acting class, and then I'm signed by this agency. So that's literally just taking that risk. That's how quick that it can happen. Another thing is, if you want to join acting classes, a lot of them are online. For example, every Tuesday, I take a course with Talent Inc., the studio. They're here in Mount Holly, but the online course is just more convenient for me. And my coach is actually in LA. And so it's really good way to grow your skills while you build your resume as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a few things about audition and etiquette. It's a little different now because everything's online, so there's no physical contact. But let's say we were going into a room, you want to be really professional. I've done probably everything, all the stuff you're not supposed to do. I've done it. Like, you go in and you're like one day I had an audition, and I did my scene. I thought I did really well, and then I started talking about how my elevator broke, and I had to crawl down the stairs, and thinking that like this would be a cool story to tell them, which they laughed, and, you know, we laughed about it, but it's not professional. They want to see you come in, do the work. If they engage you in a conversation and start asking you about stuff, then that's the right time to start talking about stuff like that. But don't just don't go in there and waste time, really. Don't go in there like, tell your story that your car broke down, because they don't want to hear that. They want to see you do your work, and they want to hopefully hire you because you killed it. They're not interested in the other stuff. So you go in, you introduce yourself. A lot of people don't shake hands. After COVID, no one is going to ever shake a hand again, I think. But you go in, you say hello, and you'll probably see something like this. You'll stand in front of it. They'll ask you to slate, and you're basically saying, you know, hi, my name is Danny J. Gomez. I'm based out of Los Angeles. Sometimes they ask you for profiles. You have to turn profile that way, profile that way. Sometimes they'll make you do a little spin, and then you'll go into your scene. Now, commercials are a little different. They'll ask you to slate the same way, but then sometimes they like to ask personality questions. Like, what was the first concert you went to? You know, they like to hear stories. They want to see who you are as a person. So this goes back to those having experiences and things that you can pull from makes you interesting to a casting director in the room. You know, it builds your character. It adds texture to your life, and that's what they want to see. Especially in commercials, they want to see you bubbly and cheerful. So for commercials, you definitely want to go in high energy, smiling, because when you're selling a product, people want to see happy people on commercials. They're always over the top on commercials. For acting, you know, for theatrical stuff, it's a little more subdued. You want to go in there, be, you know, serious about what you're about to do, and then knock it out, say thank you, and leave. Now, it's a little different on Zoom. It's so awkward, but you are in the comfort of your own home. So use that. Don't let the nerves get to you. You don't have to be in a room with them. And casting directors they want to hire you. They want to find the right person. So, you know, they're nervous as well. They don't know you. They're just meeting you for the first time. They're hoping that you blow them away so they can give you the job, and they're done with their day. So it's the same thing, but make sure, and it's super important that your sound and your lighting is on point. And you can find stuff on Amazon, like this collapsible backdrop, lighting. It's like those big light boxes. They sell like a package with 2 light boxes and a backdrop. You can get that all together for under $100, which is it's a great investment. You can write it off on your taxes because it's part of your business. This year I wrote off all kind of stuff, haircuts, because it's part of, it really is. I mean, you're grooming, your face stuff, and this is more like business side, that stuff that you don't think about. But if you go on a lunch and you're talking about a project, you could possibly write that off. I'm not a tax expert, but there's a lot of things that you can do, and stuff that you use for your craft, cameras, all that stuff, you could put towards your tax write-offs. So are there any more questions? I can just keep blabbing here.
I'm going to touch on that tax write-off thing. So 100% recommend that if you decide to follow through with this, you create a Google spreadsheet and you put all of your expenses in there. So like hair, nails, anything I do for that, because I speak, that's marketing expenses, because you are the product that you're marketing. You have to present it correctly. Headshots, acting classes, the mileage to and from auditions, mileage to and from classes. Everything you do is a write-off, and you just have to be very meticulous about keeping it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's worth it because the stuff builds up in the end. I don't know how many things I bought, how many lights, how many backdrops, but you can all put it towards your taxes. I did want to talk about getting sent out on roles that you're not really right for, because I get sent out a lot for amputees, and it's really a weird situation because people ask me, like, how do you feel if you get an amputee role? Like, you're not an amputee. It's like playing a different race, and it's weird. It's a very slippery slope to start talking about, but you are going to get sent out for things that you're not right for, that you're going to get sent out for a disability you don't have. And that's only because the industry just they're still learning. So just recently I auditioned for SEAL Team, and Kurt Yeager actually ended up getting it. I don't know if you watched the show, it's really good, but Kurt Yeager is awesome. He kills it. And when I read this part, I was like, oh, this is Kurt Yeager. It was like a amputee, scruffy, Navy SEAL type. And I killed the audition. I thought I read it really, really well, but at that point you're kind of at a spot where you're like trying to convince them to change the whole episode around your disability. But it has happened because, for instance, NBC, when I did that, it was written for a female, and they probably saw every person with every disability, and I guess it's sometimes just luck of the draw. I had a good reading that day, and they ended up rewriting it to be a male, which all they had to do was change the name, really. I mean, there was nothing in there about them being male or female in the episode. So it does happen. And one time for a commercial photo shoot, they hired me because I did wheelchair racing, or I'm sorry, hand cycling. And they found that interesting. They never had that written into the script, into what they were trying to do with the setup. They were like, oh, this is something cool that we can put on in the ad. So everything you do, you never know. You never know why you're going to get hired. And then also, don't take things personal. If you don't get hired for something and you think you killed it and you got a great response in the room, honestly, it's a very political business. Sometimes you just didn't match up with the other actor. You were great, but the producers had something else in mind. But it's always good to put your best foot forward, and because you never know what you might be right for it later in time. I auditioned for something for Hawaii, not Magnum PI, the new show. And I'm sad I didn't get that one because it shot in Hawaii. That would have been awesome. But they called me back a year later because I put a good audition down. They were considering me for a different role, and it was completely wrong for me. I didn't get it. But those are things that, you know, you never know what's going to happen. And that goes to like cultivating relationships with people, especially in the industry. You never know who you're going to meet. You know, you might meet somebody, you might be having a bad day and meet somebody at Starbucks and be rude to them. And then you go to the audition and they're the casting director. You know, there's stories like that happen all the time. Like this guy cut someone off in front of a building because he was running late for an audition and stole the spot. And when he ran up to the room, it was the casting director that he cut off. So he was like, you're done. You know, and people talk, you know, if you're perceived like an a-hole, then you might lose jobs down the line. So it pays to be kind. Everything has a consequence, everything you do, and it all plays into acting. You know, acting isn't just about being on film and TV. It's about being a better version of yourself, because all that stuff will come out in your work. So I'm going to put some, I put on the Disability Film Challenge. Look, if you want to find the community, this is the way to do it, because my community grew exponentially when I did this challenge. Because if you get picked, if you make the film and then you get picked to, like, you know, if you get nominated for one of the awards, then you get to go to the award show and you meet all kind of people in the community there from all walks of life, like all over the city. People from all over the world have submitted for this film challenge, and it's every year it's getting better and better. I mean, bigger and bigger too, better too. The quality of the films has been amazing. And you can find all films on YouTube. Just look up Disability Film Challenge. You can find mine, Checkmate, on there. And I do one every year now with the same team. And it really is something that I look forward to every year. And you can start it yourself. You know, you can start it with a small budget, use your cell phones, be creative, submit your film, and then you have something to put on your resume. And that's really important. So I'll put that on there. ActorsAccess.com is the other one if you want to start self-submitting. And then LA Casting if you're in LA. I think LA Casting does New York as well.
And we use 800 Casting here in the Southeast as well.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to talk and just have a conversation, or, you know, you can always reach out to me. I'm open to, you know, helping anybody out. I kind of just, I fell into everything by accident, and I feel that people shouldn't have to go through it that way. You know, you should be able to reach out to someone if you need to have a conversation with someone and talk to them and tell them how you're feeling. You know, why not? What do I have to lose? Like that, we're about helping each other. And like recently I was on a photo shoot. I just got back 2 days ago from New York, and this lady reached out to me 2 years ago because she saw I did a YouTube video about fashion with Wheels to Walk and Richard Corbett. So she was developing a fashion line, and she just asked me for advice. And I was like, oh, that pocket's not good there. That zipper needs to move there, this and that. And then 2 years later, they actually got a budget. We did a photo shoot. There was someone that I thought about, like, you know, she was saying she was having trouble casting and she needed an amputee. And I was like, oh, well, we're going to be in New York. I know Melanie Waldman. And I got like 3 people that I knew. Sorry, Jesse, I was only a wheelchair user. But I got, you know, I paid it forward. And and that made me feel great that I was able to get friends on there. And, you know, she was happy because she hadn't worked in a while. And yeah, just be like, I'm corny, but, you know, be nice, be kind to people. It pays off in the end, I'm telling you. But also be